Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debut of the CSGO Clutch podcast. My name is Adam Cohn, and I am your host, and I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Dan Welch. Dan, are you pumped? Are you excited? It's the debut!
I have never been happier, Adam.
I would say
I'm
you should.
serious.
I would say if you are married, the wedding day is the happiest day of your life. Let's keep the peace here.
I mean, I feel like it's a Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like that better. I would say I'm married. I'm not going to say this is the greatest day of my life. I don't want to. My wife coming in and going, "What did you mean?" No, no. Anyway, folks, in all seriousness, we are pumped. We are excited to be here. This is the debut episode of the Counter-Strike Global Offensive Clutch Podcast, CS:GO for short. As you all know, that's why you're here. We are
Boom.
going to go over anything Counter-Strike that we want to. So this is primarily a daily fantasy sports or DFS-driven podcast. This is going to be, as of right now, on this debut episode, it's going to be a YouTube exclusive podcast. We're going to go over the Draftkings main slates for Counter-Strike, and we're going to go over it hopefully day by day. And we're going to go over our thoughts like the debut episode today. We're debuting this in concurrency with ESL Pro League Season 13. So Dan and I are going to spend a couple minutes here chit-chatting about what does ESL Pro League Season 13 look like? What are the teams playing for? We're going to talk about the group stage. We're going to talk about some teams we like, teams we don't like. Dan, I don't know about you. Maybe a couple wild cards in here that we think could advance to the playoffs?
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it looks rough in their first match, but I actually kind of like Fun Plus Phoenix to go a little bit of the distance.
There you
They've been
go.
playing together for a while, and Harley is he's a very good opera. I think that he's had to kind of take a back seat, maybe just to fit into their strategy, but I have a feeling we're going to see some stellar performance by Farley. So
I
look out.
like it. So before we get there, so folks, this is pretty much what we're going to be able to do, right? So we're going to talk some Counter-Strike, like some actual real-world Counter-Strike away from the DFS world. And we're just going to talk about maybe like some news. Like there's been some news that's been breaking over the last couple days for some of these teams. For example, some big G2 news, which we'll get into. And then once we're done chit-chatting maybe about some Counter-Strike stuff. Like I said, primarily this is going to be a DFS-driven podcast. We're going to talk about the DraftKings main slates that go on pretty much every day, right? So we're primarily going to talk about the Tier 1 slates. Maybe we'll eventually get into some of the Tier 2 and Tier 3 slates when the Tier 1 teams aren't playing. But primarily, you can expect these out for the Tier 1 DraftKings main slates. So your Heroics, your Bigs, your Team Vitalities, your Astraluses, your Navis. Whenever there's those kind of the Tier 1 events going on, that's what this podcast is really going to be driven towards. Anything else you want to plug, Nan?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for everyone that, we have Pro League almost every day except for next Tuesday, which is incredible. And it kind of brings me back to last year when COVID first happened and I started to get into esports. So it's a little bit of a nostalgic time for me right now. And it's the most fun that I've had with DFS is watching CSGO and having DFS available through DraftKings.
For sure, man. All right, so before we get into Pro League, let's plug some social media and get some housekeeping out of the way. Dan, plug your social media. Tell them where they can find you at.
I am mostly on Twitter. You can follow me. It's Wandelch, Wandelch, and I follow people, cryptocurrency people as well as DFS people, and make a comment here and there. So yeah, please follow.
Excellent. And you can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. And we're going to have, hopefully, a CSGO Clutch Twitter account as well. And we're going to have, feel free to like this video, subscribe, leave a comment. That way there you guys know when you hit the subscribe button, you know when we drop a podcast. Because usually we're going to try recording these at night, Dan. So we're going to usually record the night before the next day's main slate, once DraftKings pricing has been released and all that fun stuff. So I would highly encourage you all, hit the subscribe button and make sure your notifications are turned on so you know when these podcasts come out. So you guys have the information you need to prepare for the next day's DraftKings Counter-Strike main slate. With that being said, Dan, let's break down Pro League here. So ESL Pro League Season 13. It's a several-week event. This is running from March 8th all the way to April 11th. So we have a 1 month plus event. There's going to be a ton of fun Counter-Strike to be had. Our broadcast talent, Stunner and Jason Kaplan, are going to be the desk hosts. Analysts are going to be Yanko and Pimp. So you'll remember Pimp from the Blast series, and YNK was known as Yanko. He is, well, that's his first name. He's been doing a lot of the ESL stuff, so we got those guys in as analysts. Our commentators are going to be the team of Machine and Sponge, and Just Harry and Hugo. And Frankie is going to be the interviewer. So this is this is a pretty long event. So we have a group stage format that's going to be primarily what we're going to be seeing over the next several weeks. It's a 4 single round robin format. Each group has 6 teams. Every team in the group is going to play each other. So with 6 teams being in the group, each one is going to play each other throughout the entire thing. So it'll be a 5-day event. And how it's been structured this year is we are going to see Group A go first. So in Group A is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the week of March 8th. And then we're going to get into the second group, and then the third group, and then the fourth group. So that's pretty much how they're structuring it. I kind of like it that rather than mixing everything up. So, and once the group stage is done, group winners are going to proceed to the play-in for seeding. The second and third place teams are going to advance to the round of 12. Then we have the play-in stage on April 8th, so we take what looks like a week off. Single elimination bracket in the play-ins. All matches a best of 3. Winning teams advance to the semis. Losing advance to the quarter. Very important. If the people that win in the play-in are going to advance to the semis, they don't have to worry about dealing with the quarters, any possible upsets. They're further along. You want to win that. Playoff single elimination bracket. All matches except for the grand final are best of 3. And the grand final is a best of 5. There was a $750,000 prize pool up for grabs. First place, $175,000,
Wow.
which is a lot of money. And you can see here on the right, there are definitely implications for these teams. So whoever comes in first, they get $175,000. The ESL Pro Tour, they get 1,300 points for that. It looks like for Blast, they get a spot in the global final, plus 2,800 Blast points as well. Second place gets 60,000 with 1,000 ESL Pro Tour points and 1,400 Blast Premier points, and so on and so forth. Dan, I don't know about you. $175,000 split between 5 people, that's a lot of money.
It's a whole lot of chicken.
For sure.
I mean, there's definitely motivation here, and I hate to say it, but I think that can sometimes be a factor in these guys in CS:GO. So I'm glad to see it.
Hands down. So, and it looks like, a little bit of everyone's going to get some, except for the teams finishing in 21st, 24th. They'll split $3,000 and get no points for the ESL Pro Tour. The only way to get Blast points is to come in the top 8. That being said, we have a lot of stellar teams competing in ESL Pro Tour. And this kind of takes us into the news section before we get into the group stage. Dan, I think the biggest news we need to get out of the way with. G2 benching Kenny S, bringing back in Jax. Nico's going to be a little bit of a hybrid role, it seems like. He's going to be part Opper, part Rifler. I think this is a big change, and for me, it's a massive downgrade for this team.
I'm not sure that I agree. I think that it is a very drastic change, but I mean, I'm not trying to be argumentative, Adam. I just think that Kenny was really having a hard time and really struggling, and so maybe it is a downgrade to Jax, but it might be a add by subtraction situation, and maybe he was being a little bit toxic. Who knows? There's probably a reason. But I don't think Kenny comes
across to me as a toxic player. I just think Kenny has been so inconsistent now for a while. I just think this was kind of like, okay, you've been with this team for a while, like, go spread your wings, go somewhere else, get a fresh start. But I mean, like, you're still going from a legend in Kenny S to Jax.
Yeah, you're right.
but I mean, like your point is well warranted too. Like, I mean, you have Nico. You have the third best player in the world, or fourth, however you want to rank him. It's either Device 3 or Nico 3. But like, I just think losing an opera that like of Kenny S's potential, and now you take Nico, who's known as a rifler, and you tell him the hybrid or maybe outright op. I think that could hurt them. This
Hmm.
could look like Mousesports did the end of last year, when they had no opper, and it was just someone that was picking up the opping duties. And I think that could really hurt this team.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that they're going to perform well. Absolutely. I think it's more of a long term change, and I do agree with you that this might be best for Kenny. Like maybe he just needed some motivation
100%.
by getting benched, and then joining a new team. Or it sounded like he was going to start a new team with NBK and maybe Guardian, but I that might have lost some steam. I just saw it on Twitter, so I don't know how true it
There
was.
were definitely some interesting rumors out there, but like, I mean, I like watching Kenny S play. Like when he's on, the dude is just he's phenomenal. Um,
Yeah,
Speaking of other news that happened, uh, Evil Geniuses lost Ethan. Ethan decided to
yep.
go and again, so I understand his reason. You know, I think part of the reason was he really wanted to stay closer to home, didn't want to, go all over the place or be in Europe for long periods of time. But Ethan, 20 years old, he's making the switch to Valorant. Um,
Hmm.
yes, Valorant rearing its ugly head again. Sorry, Valorant, no offense, but Counter Strike's still way better than you guys right now. Um,
I agree.
but I mean, like, I don't blame Ethan. Again, he's young. I think he's 20, maybe 21, and the kid is young. He's got his whole future ahead of him, and I'm like the whole esports future. So he could become a major player in Valorant. To me, he's probably the biggest name to make the move from Counter Strike to Valorant. I mean, I don't think I'd be wrong in saying it. It's not like Automatic or Nitro or like Psalm or like any of these other players were mega level stars, but like Ethan to me, top 20 player in the world when he's on.
Oh, easily.
Like to make the move, and again, if you're interested in the story of why, head over to hltv.org and you can find the news article on Ethan making the move to Valorant. So they have brought in the 17-year-old Oboe, formerly of Complexity, to join the EG roster. Huge upgrade for Oboe. And from last year, Oboe left Complexity. It was a bit of a weird situation, Dan, if I remember correctly. They were supposed to go to some event, and Oboe just headed to the airport, and I think he might have been a little homesick, and just
Yep.
you know,
Homesick was the
yeah. And again, like you're asking these guys to be away from their families for months at a time. That's tough to do.
yeah.
I mean, like
When they're young.
we we were kind of joking about our wives earlier, but like I would never want to be away from her for that long. Like I can only imagine the toll, and like I don't even want to imagine the toll it places on some of these guys. Not, it's not even just the players. Like
I
the
would. Give me the ticket.
uh, but like all kidding aside, like the analysts, everyone that work on these events, the players, the coaches, you're being asked to spend, you know, pretty much because of the pandemic, a good chunk of the time on the road. You know, this almost kind of reminds me of like wrestlers that work like for the WWE like 300 days out of the year or whatever. They're on the road. That's tough. And I mean,
Yeah.
like everyone's making good money, but that's still a tough commitment. So for someone, Obo's what 17? Like
Yeah.
I can understand for him or just really anyone. That's tough to be away from your families. I mean, like on the plus side for some of these guys to be probably in their homes playing Counter Strike and still doing the same thing was probably a little easier. But
Mhm.
like a lot of these guys thrive on the fan attention too. So like I'm interested to see if we see any LAN events this year with fans. Not saying that we won't see LAN maybe without fans, but I'm interested to see if we see with fans. Um, will definitely change things. But what do you think about Oboe going to EG?
I think it's a solid move. I mean, kind of the timing is really good. They might have been working on it in the background and maybe knew that Ethan was thinking about leaving or something. I'm sure there were clues. But I did want to comment on him being one of the top 20 CS:GO players, and for just to relate it to DraftKings, like he was one of the guys that I could be like, if I need 100 DraftKings points, like there's a chance that Ethan could do it.
hundred
And so
percent.
I was a little bummed when he left because of that ceiling that he has. I mean, I see him run in like guns blazing on Nuke on the T side and just destroy people with a Mac 10. I'm like, this guy's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so I could see maybe you slipping a little bit, and maybe saw maybe it was a little bit of a shiny object for him to go to Valorant. Who knows? Maybe it was. Hopefully, he did what was best for him.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, I think Oboe is a stellar option. He was kind of a support role, if I'm remembering correctly, at Complexity. So maybe he felt a little bit caged.
I think
So
Oboe
maybe
might have been a little bit more entry, but he wasn't the primary rifler. He was the
yeah,
third
no,
best rifler on that team.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean, like, I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I really do think it had a lot more doing was being homesick. And again, I don't fault him at all. But I will say this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. Oboe's ceiling might be higher than Ethan's.
huh,
The kid's 17. So again, and Ethan's 20. So like Oboe's gonna have 3 years under one of the best Counter-Strike organizations in North America. He gets to stay in North America, stay home, and work at a stellar organization like EG. I think if he's brought up correctly and encouraged, and I mean like, think of the roster around him: Breeze, Cirque, Tarek, Stanislaw, and Zeus as a coach. I think Oboe's gonna be just fine. I think they're gonna take Oboe under their wing. He's gonna get nurtured. Stanislaw is definitely one of the better IGLs. He's probably a top 10 IGL in my opinion in the world of Counter Strike. So like, there's gonna be a lot of mentoring going on. I think it's gonna be good for the camaraderie. Not saying it wasn't there at Complexity, because it was, but like, this is a great spot for Oboe to land into. So huge upgrade to Oboe. The jury's out on how Evil Geniuses are gonna look. I think they're gonna be okay. It's probably going to take them a couple months to acclimate Oboe to the roster. But
yeah,
Oboe is really talented. So I do think, while we wish Ethan all the best of luck in his future endeavors, and hopefully he goes crushing it at Valorant, Oboe is definitely one to keep an eye on. Um,
yeah,
I,
oh,
I,
absolutely.
I would say the next piece of not so much news, but two teams that just like seem to be intertwined together: Mousesports and FaZe Clan. I feel like
Yeah,
since the pandemic started last year, I feel like it's been Mousesports FaZe Clan. Mousesports FaZe Clan. I feel like the two are like intertwined. Um, so if you're just getting back into CS:GO, Carrigan has left Mousesports and gone back to FaZe Clan, and he did an interview on HLTV confirmed with Sponge and Prof, and I'm blanking on the other guy's name, and it's gonna bug me. Anyway, so the other guy that's on there, and he did an interview with all of them. And there is stuff that Kerrigan wants to accomplish. Kerrigan's 30. Like, it's not saying
huh,
like he's gonna retire, but he has stuff he wants to accomplish, right? And I think he wants to do it with FaZe Clan. He wants to accomplish it. So he's back home in FaZe Clan after being in Mousesports for a couple of years. And now you have Rain, Coldzera, Brokey, Twist, who we've seen Twist do insanely well with this team since he's joined them.
yep,
And now the second best IGL in the world, behind Glaive, rejoining this team. I mean, I'm not saying Twist is Nico. I am not saying that by a long shot. I mean, there's only one Nico. But do I think that this roster could be really, really good, and how Kerrigan can boost Rain, boost Coldzera, boost Brokey, and boost Twists? Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. That hopefully it will elevate the others' games, because I mean, Rain is extremely talented, but he's one of their entry guys, and I don't think he gets enough attention. He's kind of an underrated star, in my
hmm
opinion.
And I mean,
So
FaZe was
I'm
really
excited for
looking.
that if that is what happens.
FaZe has been looking for an IGL for a while, like a true IGL. Like Nico was doing a lot of the IGL duties, but like I really really think now with just a permanent IGL in there, Carrigan doing his thing, I think the sky's the limit with this team. They have potential to be top 5. Um, agree or disagree?
Oh, 100% agree. I mean, yeah, they are so talented.
Hmm.
Brokey, Rain. I mean, yeah, Twist now. Like that's a lot of talent.
Yeah, let's flip to the opposite side of this and go to Mousesports.
Okay.
The other insanely talented that I thought was going to be a top 5 team in the world team.
Yep.
Um, the studs that are Rops Frozen, the insane 1-2 punch, BMAS, Stud Opera and A-Core, and Dexter. And I don't mean to say it like and Dexter. Anytime that you're going from anyone that's not Carrigan, that's not named Glaive, is a downgrade. It's just as simple as that. But I don't know much about Dexter, but I can't imagine he's a terrible IGL considering how phenomenal Renegades did last year. So Dexter's now had what a couple weeks to work with this team. If he can figure some
Yeah.
things out, and the other 4 just go off and do their thing, this team has the potential to win multiple events this year. They really, really do. A-Core getting plucked away from Mad Lions and heading into Mousesports. They get the opera that they were looking for. This team is stacked. I am sorry, they are stacked. I'm excited to see what this team can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's chock full of talent and different kinds of talent. Where Bemis came up through FPL, and I think Rops did too. So they kind of had that shared experience. And Acor is, I think he was like number 2 as far as movement ability behind Zaiwu. So he can obviously can
A-Core's
up and has
insane.
really good. Yeah, I mean his ceiling is there. I mean for sure, it hasn't come to fruition yet. And
Mm-hmm.
Dexter, I would watch on when he was on Renegades, and I almost always play Dexter if I ever did any like Renegades stacks, which it was usually Ins and Dexter if you could afford them
Mm-hmm.
on DraftKings. But yeah, I mean he also has a good ceiling, but I think he could come through on some clutches too, which was nice. Yeah, no,
I mean,
I
would you
agree.
say Dexter's more of a higher fragger IGL?
Mm-hmm.
So so
Oh yeah,
so
100%.
so he's more in that blame F category.
Yep, absolutely.
This team has top 5 potential written all over it. It's just going to take time for them to, you know, just like FaZe, just like EG, just like Heroic. A lot of these teams that are getting new players, it's going to take time for them to gel, get together, learn strategies, learn new roles, learn new spots. There's a lot more we don't see than just stats. So when you're playing Counter-Strike, you're an opera, you're a lurker, you're a support, you're an anchor. There are many different things. You got to be in different spots. Every round is different. So it'll take time for these teams to gel. I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but we have SPX coming in here. The experiment that is we have no idea what Cloud9 is doing is in here. I'll be very nice. The other big piece of news, Heroic. I wouldn't say blowing up their lineup, but they got rid of 2 players and added in 2 new ones. And, Dan, as you know, Heroic are my team. They're my guys. They're my number 1 favorite team in the world. They're my team. They're who I support. Um, they benched Borup and Nico and signed Refresh and Shush from
Yep.
Mad Lions. That's a double upgrade. So, and Shush, they've already came out and said Shush is going to be the support role. Shush is better than
Okay.
Borup. It's getting a better support role. I was watching a little bit of their game versus Cloud9. Oh my goodness, Shush can frag. And when we were playing Mad Lions in DFS, Shush was one of the players we wanted to play. So if you mean to tell me we got a high fragging player who's going to be the support role, yes, please. And Refresh can do more. Like this team it's super elite. I'm sorry. I'm letting the fanboys coming out. The fanboys showing. This
Contain
team.
it, Adam. Contain it.
Listen, don't tell me to contain my excitement for Heroic.
I'm a fan too. I gotta admit, I do. I think you convinced me to like Heroic. And I mean, last year, the which tournament it was when they took it down was. I mean, the finale was they were just incredible. I mean, it's like they couldn't miss a shot, and it was just so nice to see.
Don't forget, this is the team that won ESL Cologne 2020. Just saying.
Cologne, right? Yep.
This team is something else. We have 2 new studs coming in here, or to the stud level or elite level, however you want to say it. Gambit Esports that lost their first match, ran the lower bracket in IM Katowice, gets to the playoffs, runs the bracket again. Gambit Esports, what they did in IM Katowice was incredible to watch.
Yeah.
And Virtus Pro, look, we knew Virtus Pro was taking down some talent prior to them getting to Katowice. So we knew they were a team that we wanted to watch. Gambit, we're like, yeah, the talent's there. They had a heroic run. They were a team that were nice to watch, weren't sure what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Statement game after statement game after statement game after statement game. They wouldn't have stopped. They 2-0'd Mousesports. They 2-0'd G2. They beat Navi. It was just it was wonderful to watch. So it'll be very interesting to see what Gambit and Virtus Pro do here in Pro League. It'll be fun to see what they look like this year. All right, we spent enough time talking about that. Let's break down this 3-game DraftKings main slate.
There we go. Get to the meat.
Absolutely. Speaking of it, we're going to start with Group A. So Group A is going to consist of 6 teams. Group A consists of Big, Heroic, Complexity, OG, Renegades, and Fun plus Phoenix. That is going to be March 8th to March 12th, 2021. And the first game on this slate, and the other thing to note, and Dan, we should let the people know, this is a 6 a.m. start time slate. There's a game at 6, 9, and 12:15. So we get Counter-Strike all day. But you have to make sure your lineups are in by 6 a.m. Eastern time. So first game on this slate is Fun plus Phoenix versus Complexity. I think one of the biggest, biggest misprices on the entire slate, Config at 7,200.
Okay.
What do you think? Definitely a misprice for you, or do you think it's appropriately priced?
Just give me 1 second, Adam. I've got a little bit of a technical difficulty here.
Folks, debut episode, technical difficulty. In the meantime, while Dan is getting his technical difficulty under control, maybe getting a sledgehammer to his computer. I'm kidding. Blame
okay, I'm back.
92.
I'm back.
He's back!
Well, I never left. I just have I have some background noise.
All right, so why don't we tell us what you think about Config at 7,200. I think he's about $1,500 to $2,000 underpriced. He should not be below 8,500.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it definitely depends on whether or not they win, but we are not in the results business. So yeah, I would hammer that.
You found a results business? Can I get in that business? I would love to be in that business.
Yeah. Oh my god.
All kidding aside,
yep.
I think Complexity roll Fun plus Phoenix. I think they 2-0 them. I don't think much of Sunny, honestly. So this is the Fun plus Phoenix is pretty much the core of Godsent. So Madden, Farlig, Zen, and Sticko.
Yep.
Who are they missing?
Madden, Zen, Farlig. Who did they replace recently?
Yeah.
Crystal.
That was it, right? And they were trying to figure out that. They were trying to figure out that. So the core 4 of the old Godsent roster, Fun plus Phoenix signed them all. Well, they bought the rights, or does the core, however it was, right? And then Sunny comes in, formally events. Sunny's 4,400. If you want to take a chance on Sunny, I don't mind it, but he doesn't need much to pay off 4,400. I just don't think he gets there. I think this is the first time he's playing with them, but I'm not sure on that.
I think so too, yeah.
Complexity, I want Blame F, I want Poison, I want Config, I want JKS. Not playing Rush. I respect Fun plus Phoenix's core 4 from the old Godsent roster. I respect them too much. I'm not playing Rush. If this was like a scrub team, maybe I'd take a chance on Rush, but I'm not. I'm not doing that. On the flip side, of any of the 3 games on this slate, and you kind of teased it earlier, right? Like, you teased Fun plus Phoenix in an upset. I can see that. Like, I can see Fun plus Phoenix upsetting Complexity here.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I kind of picture them in this break, just grinding out maps and getting better, because they have the talent.
Who from this game do you like for DFS?
Uh, Farley. I'm not seeing his price at the moment. Okay, yeah.
$7,000.
What, 7,000? Yeah, that's way too cheap. But I mean, he does have to. He does have to live up to my hype, so that can be a bit of a long shot. Madden for sure. He's like plus 50 in the last. I don't know. Few maps or matches. And then Zen. Madden and Zen are kind of like Kobe and Shaq. Um,
That's such an interesting comparison.
and then yeah, I mean, I think Farley's just. I think it's just a matter of time before he just. Maybe now is the time where he just really shines.
I mean, like, when Farley was part of Copenhagen Flames, I believe. I mean,
Yep.
the sky was the limit for him. He was clearly the best player on the team. He was
Yep.
opping like crazy, but he joined Godsent and then just, like, didn't exactly get better. Almost in a way, kind of got worse. Or he was just
Yeah.
overshadowed by maybe the other talent or playing against more elite level talent. So, but he's been on this roster for a while. He's acclimated to working with those other three, with Madden, Zen, and Sticko. I think another price that sticks out for me is Sticko for the 200.
Sticko, yeah, I mean, he can be a little headshot dependent though. So if he's not on, then it might be a. But yeah, no, I think that's a great GPP play for sure.
For sure. So,
Especially at that price.
So do you and I agree that if anyone wants some leverage on the slate, Fun plus Phoenix is the way to go?
Well, I don't think that any. I mean, maybe. I don't think that we're going to be up against any. Everybody's pretty informed, so I'm assuming that other people will think like us and think that that's the one to target. But yeah, I think. I mean, if you're looking for leverage, that could pay off. That would be the place to go.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's move on.
Okay.
Second game on this slate is Renegades versus Heroic. Heroic are very much priced up, and quite frankly, with good reason. Cadian has looked like the best player on this team recently. It hasn't been close. I think with the signing of Refresh and Shush, that takes some of the burden off of Stalin's shoulders of being the super elite, I need to carry this team on my back kind of player. I
hope
think
so.
it allows him to figure out what was going on with his game because he hasn't looked good recently. It takes some of the pressure off of him. Maybe let him have a little bit more fun, let him have a little bit more freedom, figure out. Maybe they're going to change up his role. And maybe he's going to get into a new role that's going to suit him a little bit better. Maybe he needed to fine tune some things in his game. I don't think he's going to be asked to do as much anymore. But make no mistake, not Tessa, Star is the most talented player on the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and he's young too.
Yep. I think at 9,600, I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't mind going underweight on him on the slate.
He's pretty volatile, and if he does feel constricted, I've seen him get pretty shaky.
I mean, the kid's
almost
18,
where,
I think. He's 18
yeah,
or 19 years old. Like, he's young.
yeah. I think he loses his confidence, and without Hunden, maybe that plays even a bigger factor because I know Hunden was very supportive of Stone, in particular matches. So,
100%. I don't know what to make of Refresh and Shush here. I think this is the game where if you want to take a chance on them, go for it. I think Shush at 5,800 is about $1,000 underpriced. I understand he's going to be in the support role, but the dude can still frag.
yep.
So that's my opinion. I think all five of Heroic could play on the slate. For me, I would just go underweight on Stown in any kind of MME format. On the flip side of this game, on the flip side, we have Renegades. Everyone in Renegades is under 8,000. I believe Alistair is the opera on this team, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it's Sicko.
Okay. Um,
Ali was previously. I think he was an opera though. On oh, I forgot the name of their team.
I forget what team he came from, but I always thought he was an opera. Anyway, talk to me about Renegades.
Yeah, I mean, I liked them when they were playing tier two teams. And Inns, I mean, Inns is the man, but he does not do well in losses or against these tier one teams, which has been quite evident.
Got it.
Um, and his price is a little bit high for that, that potential because I'm looking at his fantasy points per game. It's 80.1, but that's almost all tier two, tier three teams, and probably some of the Asia Pacific teams. Um, so
For sure.
not a great investment, but maybe people will think it is because of his price and his fantasy points per game. So I would avoid ins or I mean anybody on Renegades for that matter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like if we look at the pinnacle odds for these games, like this is no surprise. Heroic are a minus 533 favorite. I don't think they should be that high, but it's kind of lopsided on this slate who the favorite is. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, like it even like, and this is for Tuesday's games, like Fun plus Phoenix to Renegades. Fun plus Phoenix should not be a 334 favorite against Renegades. Like that seems very lopsided. So if you're betting, that line's all messed up. Um,
hmm.
but like I can see Heroic as a 300 favorite. I can absolutely see that, but I just don't see Renegades winning in this matchup. For me, Inns would be the only player I would play, and I would stay away from everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. Sicko's not that good as an opera too, by the way. He's got some flicking issues. He overflicks. It's kind of ugly.
All right, last game on this slate: OG versus Big. Um, the only other piece of news, one of the other pieces of news we didn't get to talk about is OG has benched NBK,
Yep.
and for the DreamHack qualifiers, I believe, or the play-ins or whatever they call them, I think it was the DreamHack qualifiers. They actually got Nico that was benched on Heroic to sub in, but there has been no news, and I can go back here to the news. I don't see. Yeah, there's nothing here that states who OG's playing with the fifth tomorrow. So we could take a look. Uh yeah, no. There's
Pretty sure it's gonna be Nico though.
yeah, that's what I would go with. However, for everyone out there, you don't have to worry about it, right? So Nico
Right.
was standing in for them. Right now, they have 4 players as of this recording. We're at 7:20 Eastern time as we're recording this. So you don't have to worry about NBK. Nico's not on the slate. I don't think they're going to add him late. If he's there and OG plays tomorrow and Nico's there, or there's news that comes out that they've signed him to a contract or signed him from Heroic, whatever, then they will get him for like Tuesday slate. But you're only going to worry about 4 for OG, and that's the main 4. Valde, Mantu, Issa, and Alexi B. Alexi B underpriced at 4,800. Issa underpriced at 56. Montu
Yep.
at least $1,000 underpriced at 6,800. Valde a little bit overpriced. Like I like Valde when he's in the mid 7 range.
Hmm.
Talk to me about OG. Is there anyone you would play on the slate? Because Mantu sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Issa just because he's so consistent. I mean, even though he doesn't have he's got the floor, I guess, so maybe a good cash play. But I've even captained him in GPPs, and it's turned out well just because he does have that like 60
Hmm.
point potential, and you can fit other expensive guys. Other than that, I'm probably going to stay away from OG just because of the new change. And Big will definitely, they've wrecked OG when they had a full roster, so
Yeah.
I'm not too keen on OG. But I'm imagining some other people might feel the same way, and they might stay away from a Mantu or a Valde, and just because of that, and so it could be good for DFS
I
purposes.
don't mind them as a one-off.
Right, one off. Yep.
I don't think I'd stack OG
No, no.
I mean, it's kind of difficult for me to recommend stacks. Like if I were to
Yeah,
stack, I'd probably play it a little bit safer and go Mantu Valde. But we know Issa can go off. We know there's random Alexi B ceiling games when he gets the right maps to play and like
train.
or Mirage and we know Alexi B love Mirage. He loves Mirage. He loves playing there. Um,
Yep, that too. Yeah.
so on the big side of things, Searson at 9400, someone you're gonna have to make a decision on in the slate. Um,
Hmm.
he's one of the best plays on the slate in my opinion because I know it's Mantu, but again, it's a four-man team. If they're still playing with a standard Nico, I think Searson and Big can exploit that because that
Yep.
stand-in, it's not like when they had NBK and he knew all the spots and everything else. Like, I think Big can exploit this here. I would say
Yep.
I like Searson 1, Tabson 2, Xanteris 3. Xanteris really, just from an eye test standpoint, he hasn't looked great lately. And he's 8,600, another player you have to really figure out what you want to do with on this slate. Talk to me about the big three for Big.
I typically go Searson, and Xantaras combined, but
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a tough price point. I'm actually I would be probably in favor of Tizian because of he's
He's
priced
5K.
below Keto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
he he
so cheap.
stands out. I was gonna get to him next. Like he stands out.
Yeah, and Tizian's really good. I don't know if you remember the clutch he had on Overpass. It was like a 1v4 clutch. It was just I mean, the guy's super talented. But Keto as well, he grinds out FPL as far as I know. So he's he's got some time. So
I
I
just
would
think
I mean,
6,200 for me for Keto is he's about 1,000 overpriced. Like
yeah. Yeah.
he but for Keto on this team, he needs a lot to pay off that price tag for me. I think Tizian would be the way to go on this slate if you want a third from Big. And let's say you want to go Searson, Tabson, Tizian. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. Yeah, Tabs and Tizian I think is the combo.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of sounds nice.
All right. Overall thoughts on this slate before we get into our core value GPP plays on the slate.
It's a good one. I like 3 games. 4 games can sometimes feel a little daunting, so I think it's just the right enough, just the right amount of options to spread out the ownership where you don't have to get too cute or clever, um, and feel comfortable with your potential owner. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Core play on this slate. Give me one core play, one value, one GPP play.
Core play. I'm going to go with Cadian,
Mm-hmm.
because of basically what you said, and yeah, I mean he's just out of control right now.
Mm-hmm.
Value. I'm going to go with oh man, probably Tizian.
Yeah, 5K really sticks out for him.
Yeah, he can definitely get more than 50 or 60, especially if they sweep, which I think they will.
Mm-hmm.
And then GPP. I'm kind of in between Poison and Farlig, just because I think that match could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably gonna lean Farley just because it's more of a long shot,
Yeah.
and his price isn't bad either. So
Excellent. All right. For me, core play on this slate. Again, I'm kind of with you there, Cadian. For me. Um,
yeah,
if I kind of had to give a second, actually, no, I'll make him my GPP play. Value for me is Mantu, 6,800. No, he should not be under 7,000 ever.
yeah,
In my opinion, he's too talented, so I'm going to go Mantu as my value play. GPP play. I'm not going to make him a core play as of right now, but it's config 7,200. He's too underpriced. Not criminally underpriced, but he shouldn't be under 8,500 in my opinion. He's been playing way too good, and config is my GPP play on the slate. Um,
yeah.
are there any team stacks that you like?
I'm probably gonna go 2-2-2, expecting 3 sweeps.
Okay, that's not a bad strategy to employ in a three-game slate.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so who are the team stacks that you like? You don't have to give me all three. Feel free to give me just one if you want.
Um, just one. I would go with Heroic, Katie, and Tessis.
Okay. Team
Yeah.
stack for me is also heroic, but I will just go with a team stack. Not going to go with who I like, but again, like I mentioned earlier, I like all 5 on heroic. I would just go underweight on Stout on the GPP, but it would not surprise me if a chalk build or a chalk heroic stack included 2 of Cadian, Stown, and Tessus. And yeah, I would say that's probably pretty chalky. So let's
Yeah.
do that. And give me a bold prediction on this slate, and we'll get out of here.
Bold prediction. Farley goes over 100 DK points.
That's pretty bold. That is definitely pretty bold.
In the flex. In the flex, not in the captain.
All right, my bold prediction is I think Captain Tabson could win a GPP tomorrow.
Oh, I like that.
I think Captain Tabson could do some damage. With that, Dan, this has been a fantastic debut of the CS:GO Clutch
Loved it.
podcast, folks. We will for Dan. I'm Adam. We will see you all for the next DraftKings main slate. Latest, peoples.
Thanks, Adam.